Kicks 105.5. Good morning. I'm JJ. It's Wednesday, February 16th. It's 7:49. Currently 1 degrees outside. It's heating up. But as we do every Wednesday morning at around this time, we have Mike Barrett from the Barrett Insurance Agency. Good morning, Mike.
Hey, JJ. Good morning. How are you?
I am well. Let's do that again.
Oh, yeah, let's
Mike
try that.
Barrett.
There you go.
Yeah, let's turn you on.
There you go.
Good morning, Mike.
Good morning. Now I'm no longer just in the background. That's nice.
Right. I was like, what's going on here?
So we talked about last week rental car, right? Rental car reimbursement on an auto policy. I thought this week a good follow-up to that would be rental car coverage when you're on vacation. Why not? Let's talk about it. So to reiterate, rental reimbursement or transportation expense can show up one of those ways on your auto policy if you have that coverage. And of course, to kind of remind folks, that's what would cover you if your vehicle is not drivable due to an accident, due to a covered loss. And we mentioned that rental car coverage for vacation or just because you want to rent a car is not what that's for. And that is the case. So don't let that confuse you as I bring up rental car coverage this morning for vacation. So if you have rental reimbursement or transportation expense coverage on your auto policy and you're going on vacation and you're renting a car, it's not going to pay for that. Just to throw that back out there. But how does your auto policy respond or handle you renting a vehicle? That is the question. So your auto policy, the way the policy language reads, is that your auto policy would act as excess coverage if you're driving another vehicle. I could be borrowing your car, JJ, and get in an accident, and if your liability limits are exhausted, my policy would kick in as excess coverage for bodily injury or property damage to others. Same holds true for if you're renting a car. But let's say that you're at that rental car counter and that great person is talking to you saying you should do this, you should do this, you should add this, you should add this coverage. You know, if you don't select their liability coverage, which you don't necessarily have to if you have auto insurance, because your policy would be considered excess, if there's no primary policy, meaning you did not take them up on their liability coverage on that rental car, your policy would kick in immediately. So you would have liability coverage as you're driving. The big area of concern that I find is under the physical damage coverage of that. Now, typically your auto policy could extend and become excess coverage for if you got into an accident, paying for the damage to the vehicle of the rental car company. That can be a slippery slope. So I always recommend get the collision deductible waiver. So of the options for insurance, there's usually just that as one available. So you're just buying that if you cause damage to their car, they're going to cover it, not you. That can be beneficial in many ways. One, your auto policy is not going to pay for some things that they may ask you for if you bring back a damaged vehicle. And that would be one, a depreciated value of the vehicle because you caused damage to it. They could try to say you owe us for the difference, but your auto policy is not going to be triggered for that. It'd pay for the damage if need be, but it wouldn't pay for depreciated value. Two, they could say, well, now we're not able to rent this car, so you're going to have to pay for the amount of money that we're going to lose by not being able to rent this vehicle. You're not going to be covered for that either. But if you bought the collision deductible waiver with them, you're really going to fill in that gap pretty nicely. So that's one thing to consider this morning. So, it's kind of a mixed bag of opinion in my industry where I've got people who I know and respect very well who know a lot more about insurance than I do, who don't think you need to buy the rental coverage at all. I tend to err on the side of caution. So that's why I have an article that whenever somebody asks me this question, I literally say, here's my thought, here's the article, and you can make the opinion and make the judgment on your own and make the right one for you. That's really what it comes down to. But it's about just covering potential gaps and potential exposures that could cause out of pocket. I've even heard stories where rental car companies could demand compensation for the loss before you even leave. Well, if you're dropping a rental car off and you're going to get a plane, you're under enough stress to get out of Dodge. So getting held up that way could be kind of scary too. I've only heard that once or twice. Now, one final thought on the rental car coverage for vacation. Coverage territory, all right? Your auto policy coverage territory is North America. That's Canada and the United States and its territories. It is not Mexico, and it is not anywhere else. So if you're going to Europe and you're renting a car, definitely get their insurance because you're not going to have any coverage behind you. So if you're outside of the coverage territory, I actually have somebody I know going abroad, and they asked the question, and I very quickly said, get it. So, and then some vacation options, some credit cards, do your homework. Some credit cards offer some level of protection for you if you rent the car with the credit card. So,
Right.
how's that for a lot of information in 5 minutes?
Yeah. Actually, it hasn't even been 5 minutes.
Hasn't? Oh, okay, good. Do you have a question?
I do.
What's up?
Okay, so we were talking about. Okay, well, actually, maybe we weren't. But anyway, so I was curious because we had a news story the other day, or a couple of weeks ago, I guess, where this individual had gone around St. Jay smashing windshields.
Oh yeah, and keying cars.
Right. So
Both.
if you only have liability coverage, you're going to be responsible for all of that damage.
Yes and no. That's a tough one because that's a vandalism act, right? So that would probably be a trigger of comprehensive coverage. So yeah, if you have liability only, that would most likely be an out-of-pocket expense for you. Some could say, well, what about the uninsured motorists coverage on your policy? Well, think about the terminology there. That's uninsured motorist. This was an individual pedestrian on foot causing damage. So yeah, if you didn't have comprehensive, you most likely are paying out of pocket for that.
That's not good.
No.
And going along that theme, what in the event of theft? See, somebody steals your car.
That's a comprehensive peril. So you have to have comprehensive coverage in order for theft to be covered. Right. So, and just to add more fun to or confusion to the whole bit, so you can have liability only, and you can have liability and comprehensive. You cannot have liability and just collision. So the order of coverage is liability, and then you can add comprehensive, and then you could add collision if you wanted to. So you could have a liability-only car and just add comprehensive coverage. That's going to be the cheaper of the two physical damage components. And I tell everybody, I don't care if your car is 1 or 100 years old, you could suffer a glass loss. So have comprehensive. It's not going to cost that much.
Right, because you figure, okay, your windshield's busted, you can't drive it. You're going to have it towed to wherever you're going to get it fixed.
Uh-huh.
Then this person apparently busted up quite a few cars.
Oh, yeah.
So they're going to be looking to get their windshields replaced. So you might have to wait. You may have to get a rental.
Yeah.
And the cost of replacing the glass.
Exactly. So always weigh your benefits. Liability only is great for when you really need to keep costs down. But also you always need to leverage your ability to pay versus your ability to absorb a loss. And comprehensive, like I said, is not that expensive. It's probably $5, $10, $15 a month compared to $30 or $40 a month with some cars for collision. I'm going high on my estimate this morning because I need more coffee. But but comparable, it's just really not that bad. So,
all right, Mike. So if somebody wants to reach out to you and get some more information, or
sure, yeah, you give us a call 748-5224. You can find us at 229 Portland Street, St. Johnsbury. Online, thebarrettagency.com. Google, Facebook, and YouTube. Just look for Barrett Insurance Agency.
All right, Mike. Well, thanks for coming in and sharing your extensive insurance knowledge with us. And it's going to get warm tomorrow. It's going to get into the 50s.
And windy, so tie it down.
Tie her down.
Yeah.
All right, man. We'll talk to you again next week.
Sounds good.